Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just got back from an amazing, incredible, inspiring, chaotic, incredibly crazy trip to India, my home country. I was in Mumbai for 2 weeks and then I was in Bhuj, which is in Gujarat, for a week at a naturopathy center. Today we're going to talk about India. India is not just a country. India is not just one country. It's a billion worlds in one. A billion people, 1,000 languages, different cultures, different traditions, different gods, different religions, chaos, organized chaos, innovation, Jugaad, Bollywood, and a lot of development. I went to India after I think 4 years, and everything around me, everywhere around my house were like big skyscrapers, construction everywhere, bridges being built, roads being built, and everything almost like really ready, very well connected, and a very new age India is what I got to see. Every time I go, there's like so much of progress and development that you're like, what was the place that I was here before? So India, as we know, is at a rapid growth right now. Everything is booming. An average Indian today has the spending power to spend in different places. So today we're going to speak about what the world can learn from India and what India could learn from the world. The power of imperfection, embracing mess as a way forward. If you've been to India, then you know what I'm talking about. If you've not been to India and if you've seen some videos, then you also know what I'm talking about. If you are driving a car in India, in Mumbai, you have so many cars around you and they're at a very close proximity level. Mess, but works absolutely fine. Civic sense, a little less, but works still absolutely fine. You may have seen the videos of Indian trains, Mumbai trains specifically, and you might have seen what a mess, what is going on, but it works perfectly fine. So India isn't a flaw, it's actually a feature. This is what we call creative chaos. In Japan, they call it wabi-sabi, beauty and imperfection. In India, it's just finding a solution without the perfect plan. Now, India's organized chaos is functional due to its deeply ingrained values of resilience and adaptability, allowing for a fluid, decentralized system of social and economic order that evolves rather than being rigidly controlled. But obviously, this comes from a lot of problems as well. You can take functional chaos, examples like Mumbai's Dhobi Ghat. This laundry complex demonstrates how a large, seemingly chaotic system of sorting and cleaning clothes for thousands of people can function effectively through distributed effort and a shared purpose. Radical relational living. In the West, we talk about community as a hashtag. In India, it's a daily living thing. In India, community is a survival strategy. You don't have to take appointments from your parents when to meet them. You don't have to take appointments to meet your friends. The theory comes from Ubuntu, I am because of who we are. You have families, you have joint families that live together. You have 3-4 generations that live together. You don't have to, you will not see sending your parents or your grandparents into an old age home. People actually live together and they actually talk to each other. You are going to go to your neighbor's place to get some sugar, or maybe your neighbor is going to be at your place and making food or exchanging dishes every day. Because India lives by the fact of radical relational living, which could actually solve a lot of the loneliness crisis that we all are in right now without an app. For example, rural water sharing systems in Rajasthan, which are the Johars. Villagers build and maintain ponds collectively to ensure everyone gets water in dry seasons. This isn't government policy, it's a cultural ecosystem of cooperation. Crowd trains, share meals in trains, help people when you don't even know them, while compared to the West, independence often means isolation. Eleanor Orstrom's work on community governance, India's micro-communities show how cooperation can outperform central systems. In Europe and America, in Europe you still have cards that we used to pay by, but in India you have the UPI, and the UPI you can use it anywhere in Europe if you have an Indian card to actually pay. Even at the Eiffel Tower, you can pay with your UPI. UPI, Unified Payment Interface. This has revolutionized India in general. Everyone has a QR code. Everyone can scan through a QR code. You are taking a rickshaw to go somewhere, or you are buying a fruit in the middle of the road from a fruit vendor, or you are buying some jewelry in the middle of the train. Everyone has a QR code. everyone has a UPI system, which makes it more accessible for payments and more diversified and inclusive of everyone in the working economy. Before UPI, India's banking systems were fragmented. There was no standard payment method across banks. UPI emerged from government initiative combined with tech ingenuity from startups like PhonePe and Google Pay. It's now a global model of instant payment that bypasses traditional banking barriers. Time is an ecosystem in India. We don't follow summer, spring, autumn. It's there, of course, it's there. We're not denying it's there. But in India, we follow the lunar calendar. Planting seasons, rituals, and farming follow ancient cycles. Now, because in India we've grown up with maybe limited resources many times, so we've had to find a way to get our work done. Many a times you don't have the resources, many a times you don't have the means, many a times you don't have the situation in your favor or the circumstances in your favor. But being how we are, street smart and always street smart and aware in India, we've had to find ways. That is where we have given birth to Jugaad, the frugal innovation. The concept of Jugaad is making low-cost solutions flexible to each problem, which is something the world should really look at it seriously. You don't always need the most expensive gear. You don't always need the most expensive equipment to get some stuff done. We have created things from scratch with actually quarter the cost of what it actually costs. For example, Indian startups inventing medical devices at a fraction of the cost, like portable ECG machines or ultra-cheap water purifiers, are redefining innovation for the global south. Jaipur foot prosthetics, affordable yet high quality, helping amputees worldwide. Clayton Christensen's theory of disruptive innovation, India is a life example of it. Jugaad lives and breathes in every Indian. It could be on the street, it could be in a city, it could be in a company, or it could be in your daily life. Living with paradox and complexity. In India, you will find high skyscrapers next to centuries-old temples. Next to that, you will find slums. You will see parallel worlds living in India, which obviously is something we need to look at because the inequality is so vast. But from that vastness and from that contrast, Indians learn to hold contradiction without collapsing, a skill that we need in a very highly polarized world today. The complexity theory, the ability to adapt without needing absolute certainty. We all need to adapt when we don't know what the outcome is going to be like. Call it global dexterity, call it whatever you need. Deep cultural storytelling, which is India's storytelling culture through myths, festivals, cinema, keep the traditions alive while shaping identity. Could be through films, retellings of ancient mythologies, and street theatre keep cultural memory alive in a way few other cultures do. Diwali, more than a festival, a narrative about light overcoming darkness, celebrated differently across regions. Spiritual resilience and inner economy. You see in India, India has given the world Ayurveda, yoga, meditation, you name it. You will see, maybe when you are starting a movie in India, when they start shooting, they break a coconut to take blessings and to start by good luck. Rituals for good fortune before starting a new business is a blessing for good fortune, is a blessing that you can always seek. You will see a new car and you will always see a little tilak on top of it for good blessings, and for safety of this beautiful new thing. It could be the same thing before you start a new job. Buy a new piece of jewelry, or when you are traveling. Some kind of rituals keep you grounded and make you more aware of your inner economy, your inner world, and your spiritual resilience. Because once that is activated, you can look at your outer economy because your inner economy is actually profiting. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. India shows meaning isn't separate from life. It's woven into every act. You will have a lot of invisible economies which are integrated into the system. It could be someone who's selling the fruits on the road. It could be someone who is from the biggest slum in Dharavi, which is, we've seen the movies that they've made on Dharavi. We've seen the poverty porn that still makes use of it. Dharavi in Mumbai is one of the world's largest informal economies. It's a recycling powerhouse processing over 80% of Mumbai's waste without formal systems. In Dharavi, I saw a small workshop turning discarded plastic into designer bags. Nobody talks about it, but that's the economy that keeps a city like Mumbai breathing. Now, what India can actually learn from the world is building more transparent systems. The voting could be rigged, or people who want to be in power can turn it around and do their favor, or there could be corruption, whatever it could be. India needs a little more transparency. For example, Estonia's digital government, everything from voting to taxes online, and transparent. Citizens can actually see how decisions are made. Every year there is a voting happening. There's so many votes that are rigged or manipulated or we don't have transparency, we know it's because of corruption, or we know it's because of certain things. Imagine in a system where we have UPI, if you could blend it with Estonia level transparency, imagine what the impact could be like. Mental health as infrastructure, mental health as something that's actually taught in schools. Recently, we saw a billionaire in India saying, you need to work 70 hours a week. The youth needs to work 70 hours a week. That is absolute craziness. That is not how we should be telling ourselves to work. That is slavery. That is crazy. You need time to yourself to recharge, do other things. You need time to yourself to get out of the work environment to be able to get back into it again. So mental health is the first and foremost thing that we always forget in Indian society, because we feel like we got to make the most of our time. Till date, whenever I'm taking a day off, I feel guilty because I feel like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time? I could make this time, I could use this time to do something more fruitful. Is that productivity guilt that I still carry from India? Imagine if you use that time, segregate that time for your hobbies, for your time with your loved ones, for your time with your friends, for your time with your recreational activities. How much of a difference would that make at your workplaces? Education is curiosity and not just grades. We have grown up in India and we know that how rote learning was the norm, how we were made to rote learn everything. In my time, during my schooling, we had the SSC board that I did, but they also introduced the IGCSE board and the AO levels, which my mom put me into. And that kind of revolutionized my way of thinking and my way of structure in how I look at things, because that was not following the rote learning method. That was more applicable and more practical. We need to encourage curiosity, education as curiosity, and not something that needs to be defined by the grades that you get or the percentage that you get. If you don't get 98%, then, oh, you're a failure. No, there's so much more that your education can define you by a mere grade that tells you if you're worth eligible or if you're worth making it into society or not. Finland's educational model, no standardized tests in early years, learning through exploration. I visited a school in Kerala where kids learned storytelling instead of algebra. The joy was infectious. India could blend that with its academic strength. We all know India produces the best doctors and the best engineers. But imagine how much better we can produce, how many more we can produce in every field, and not just engineers and doctors and lawyers, when we actually give everyone, the students, the leeway to think and explore and not be on top of them with a stick all the time. Imagine the potential that we could have if we let them be collaborative in their own education as well. Indian cities are bursting with energy. When you go out in an Indian city, you feel alive. You feel the pulse moving through you. But at the same time, it doesn't know how to tackle its three main problems: pollution, traffic, and lack of infrastructure, or the lack of civic sense. Could be Copenhagen's bicycle-first city design, or Singapore's clean urban systems. Smart growth urbanism, designing cities that are sustainable, efficient, and human-centric. We are seeing developments and constructions everywhere in Mumbai, but are they using green materials in these buildings? Are they using materials that are sustainable? Because everyone that is living around these construction buildings are still breathing the air which is polluted, and at the same time, the building that are using these construction materials which are not 100% sustainable. Now, traffic in India is bad due to high vehicle numbers and a complex mix of road users, rickshaws, pedestrians, animals. You'll find everything on the road. This is compounded by inadequate and poorly maintained infrastructure, a lack of strict enforcement and traffic laws. But also, it's due to lack of road design, poor quality roads, potholes that never get made, inappropriate designs which can accommodate high volume of motorcycles and scooters that dominate traffic in India. Why is it that there is no civic sense in India? Why is it that we don't look at the basic way of being in the middle of a road? Why do we have to constantly honk when we see someone next to us crossing the road? Why do we litter? Why is it that someone wants to litter in their own country, in their own city? I read somewhere on Instagram, and that was something that really struck me, and that spoke about the lack of empathy. The lack of empathy is one of the reasons that we lack civic sense in India. The lack of empathy also somehow comes from classism because we think that this is not my thing to sort out. It's like, I'm going to throw it in the middle of the road because I know the kachre will come and clear it up. Or I'm going to litter over here because I know the venue organizers are going to clean it up. And why is there no empathy? Well, the lack of empathy also comes from an overload of stimulation, an overload of high density, of constant on the go, the stress, the mental fatigue, and then the economic and social factors. Due to rapid urbanization, the cities are growing very fast, but there is no way for it to grow a little more because there is constant congestion as roads and infrastructure fail to keep pace. What are the solutions? What could be the overcrowded roads? Now, overcrowded roads, the solution could be better public transport systems. How about we make the metro trains and buses to reduce private vehicles use? Why can't the public transport be reinforced? People could be encouraged to use public transport, introduce congestion charges in crowded areas to discourage excessive car use, and always pedestrian-friendly roads and bike lanes. The poor traffic discipline, well, we could use AI-powered cameras and sensors to catch violators, add traffic education in schools to teach road safety from a very young age, and heavy fines, always to discourage bad behavior. Now, what do we do about the bad road infrastructure? Potholes, poor lighting, no proper lanes. Well, Germany's Autobahn is famous for its smooth, well-maintained roads. South Korea is another example for smart lights and reflective paints for better visibility. Reflective paints could be one example. Repair roads regularly, which we know they're not going to do, so build flyovers and underpasses to reduce and ease congestion. There are a lot of parking problems because we are running out of space. In Japan, you can't buy a car unless you prove you have a parking space. In Singapore, you have multi-level automated parking systems that save space and time. Maybe India's solutions could be to build more multi-level parking lots in cities, introduce stricter rules to prevent illegal parking, use a parking app. What do you do about the pollution from vehicles? Well, we've seen recently, and I saw a lot of electric vehicles in India moving around, and even the bus moving around. Maybe promoting electric vehicles by giving tax benefits and building more charging stations, enforcing strict emission standards for vehicles, and maybe encourage carpooling and public transport. In India, why this could not always very work? Because of the classism. People think that going in a bus or going in a metro or going in a train is something that's lower than them. Maybe before tackling all these problems, we need to go to the grassroots levels of classism and casteism as well. India is a paradox. It teaches us resilience, humility, grounding, balance, and creative chaos. It teaches us beauty in imperfections, but it also shows us the power of learning from its own past and the world. If we can hold both pride and humility together, maybe that's the best lesson of all. There's a lot that the world can learn from India, and there's still a lot that India can learn from the world.